Welcome, esteemed guests, to the dazzling world of ancient Persia, where power reigns, secrets simmer, and one woman's courage will change the course of history. Our story begins in the opulent palace of King Xerxes, ruler of the mighty Persian Empire, and a man who knew how to throw a party like no other. Picture this: extravagant feasts lasting for days, fountains flowing with wine, gold goblets in every hand, and banquets so lavish they'd make even the gods blush. Every detail screamed luxury: marble floors, silver couches, priceless linens, and royal tapestries that shimmered in the torchlight. This wasn't just a celebration, it was a royal flex on an imperial scale. But beneath the glitter and grandeur, trouble was brewing. In the midst of one of these legendary feasts, King Xerxes, perhaps emboldened by wine and ego, commands his queen Vashti to appear before his guests, simply to show off her beauty. But Queen Vashti, she refuses, and just like that, the music stops. The room stills. A queen defies the king in front of the entire empire. Shockwaves ripple through the palace. Advisors scramble. Laws are questioned. Honor is at stake. And this dramatic moment of defiance sets the stage for one of the most compelling stories ever told. A tale of destiny, courage, and divine intervention. So sit back and prepare to witness history unfold in all its royal splendor. Enter our heroine, Esther, a young Jewish woman living in exile, far from the land of her ancestors. Orphaned at a young age, she's been raised by her devoted cousin, Mordecai, a man of wisdom, integrity, and quiet strength. But Esther, she's something special. She walks with grace, speaks with kindness, and carries herself with the quiet confidence of someone who knows who she is, even if the world doesn't yet. She's got charm, yes, but not the shallow kind. Hers is a beauty that runs deeper, a gentleness that draws people in, a brilliance that sees through palace games and political mass. And that smile, let's just say, is chosen, not by chance, not by charm alone, but for a purpose that even she cannot yet see. Because sometimes the most powerful stories begin with the most unlikely people. And Esther, she's about to step into destiny. Things heat up fast. Enter Haman, the villain of our story. Power-hungry, arrogant, and newly promoted to the highest rank beneath the king. He's ambitious, cunning, and absolutely obsessed with honor, and his allegiance belongs to God alone. To Haman, this isn't just defiance, it's personal. He's enraged. But Haman isn't content with punishing one man. No, his hatred metastasizes. It becomes something darker, deadlier. He sets his sights on all the Jews in the empire. Genocide. That's the plan. And just like that, what began as a bruised ego becomes a royal decree, an entire people marked for destruction, sealed with the king's signet ring. The clock is ticking, the threat is real, and once again, the fate of the Jewish people hangs in the balance. But Haman has underestimated someone, because in the heart of the palace, a queen is about to rise. It's the ultimate queen dilemma. Esther now sits in the palace, crowned, adorned, and surrounded by luxury. But outside those marble walls, her people are in danger. A decree has gone out: death to the Jews. And she alone holds the position, the access, the voice that just might stop it. But here's the catch. Approaching the king without being summoned, it's a death sentence. Even for a queen, to speak up is to risk everything: her comfort, her crown, her life. To stay silent, that means watching her people perish from behind palace doors. The weight is crushing. The fear is real. She could disappear into royal safety, hide her identity, pretend none of this concerns her. But then comes Mordecai's message: clear, convicting, unforgettable. Who knows whether you have come to the kingdom for such a time as this? A pause, a breath, and then Esther rises. If I perish, she says, I perish. It's more than bravery. It's surrender. It's purpose. It's the moment a queen becomes a deliverer. She exchanges fear for faith, silence for courage. And with that decision, the course of history shifts. Because one woman chose to speak. Esther doesn't rush in. She doesn't charge into the throne room with panic or pride. No, her first move is stillness. She prays, she fasts, she prepares, not just with royal robes or clever plans, but with humility and dependence on something far greater than herself. For 3 days she eats nothing, drinks nothing. She seeks God, not in comfort, but in complete surrender, and she asks her people to do the same. Gather all the Jews, she tells Mordecai. Fast for me. This isn't strategy, it's sacrifice. Before she speaks to the king of Persia, she speaks to the king of heaven. Because Esther knows this moment isn't about her power, it's about divine purpose. And sometimes the strongest thing a person can do is wait, is listen, is pray. Across Susa, candles flicker in silence. Voices whisper ancient prayers. A people threatened with extinction now turn their hearts upward, clinging to the hope that maybe, just maybe, God has not forgotten them. And when the third day comes, Esther rises, not just as a queen, but as an intercessor, a warrior cloaked in grace. She puts on her royal robes, not to impress, but to stand in the place she's been called to. Fully aware of the risk, fully surrendered to the will of God. And with every step toward the throne room, she's not walking alone. She's walking with purpose, with prayer behind her, and with her people beside her, in heart, in faith, in fasting. This is the calm before the storm, but Esther is ready. On the third day, the palace is still. The air is heavy with anticipation and fear. And then she appears. She knows the law. Approach the king uninvited, and you die, unless he extends the golden scepter. And no one, not even a queen, is exempt. Still, she walks, past the guards, past the courtiers who hold their breath, past the columns and the silence and the weight of what's at stake. And then she reaches the threshold. Inside, the king sits on his throne, powerful, unpredictable, watching. Time seems to freeze. Esther stands tall, hands folded, heart racing, but she does not tremble. She waits for a gesture that will decide her fate. 1 second, 2. Then, the golden scepter rises. The king extends it. She lives. But more than that, the door to destiny is now open. She has been received. And now the plan begins. Panic. Instead, she invites. Come to a banquet, she says to the king, and to Haman. Intrigued, they agree, and so begins a masterstroke of wisdom and patience. One feast, then another. Esther waits, guided by more than strategy, guided by divine timing. At the second feast, everything comes to a boil. The table is rich, the wine flows. Haman lounges with confidence, bloated on pride, certain of his status, certain that he's untouchable. He doesn't see it coming. And then Esther strikes. The king, relaxed and pleased, asks again, "What is your request, Queen Esther?" "Up to half my kingdom it shall be granted." She rises, not trembling, not stalling. With a voice clear and steady, she speaks. "If I have found favor in your eyes, O king, spare my life and the lives of my people." The room stills. The king blinks, confused. "For we have been sold, I and my people, to be destroyed, killed, and annihilated." Xerxes rises in alarm. "Who would dare do such a thing?" he demands. And then, the moment. Esther turns to Haman, her eyes fixed, her voice unwavering. The adversary and enemy, Is this vile, Haman? Silence explodes into fury. The king storms out in rage. Haman, frozen in disbelief, crumbles before the queen, begging for his life. But it's too late. The plot is exposed. The tables have turned. The man who built a gallows for Mordecai is now marked by his own scheme. Justice is coming. But this moment, this victory, it belongs to a woman who waited, who fasted, who listened for the right time, who stood between death and deliverance with nothing but faith, courage, and her voice. Esther didn't just save her people. She revealed the power of obedience, of timing, and of standing firm. Command is exposed for the villain he is, and his downfall is swift. The very gallows he built for Mordecai become his own end. Pride laid the trap, justice sprung it, but that's not where the story ends. With the threat removed, Esther and Mordecai face the next challenge. The decree of death still hangs over the Jews. The law of the Medes and Persians cannot be revoked. But the king, moved by Esther's courage and Mordecai's loyalty, grants them a new decree, a chance to fight back. And when the day of reckoning arrives, the Jews are ready. No longer a scattered, silent people. They stand strong, unified, empowered by purpose and royal protection. Their enemies are defeated. What was meant for destruction becomes a day of deliverance. And Mordecai, the man once dismissed and dishonored at the palace gate, is now robed in royal blue and white, crowned with gold, and walking through the city as second in command to the king. The man who saved the king now helps rule the kingdom. He writes decrees. He leads with wisdom. He becomes a symbol of hope and honor to his people. Joy erupts across the provinces. Mourning turns to dancing. Fear turns to favor. The Jews celebrate with feasting, gladness, and gifts. A reversal so complete, it's remembered for generations. What began with danger ends with deliverance. What started in silence ends in songs of joy. Because when the people of God rise with courage, when they fast, pray, and stand in faith, even the darkest edicts can be overturned. And through it all, the invisible hand of providence was never absent. It was guiding, aligning, redeeming. The story of Esther reminds us, even in exile, you are not forgotten. Even in danger, you are not without purpose. And so, the story of Esther echoes through time. A young woman, orphaned, exiled, unseen, who rose to her moment, who stood when it would have been easier to shrink, who spoke when silence would have been safer. She didn't ride in with armies. She didn't wield a sword. She wielded something far greater: courage, wisdom, faith. Esther reminds us that influence isn't about status, it's about obedience. That bravery isn't the absence of fear, it's choosing to move forward in the face of it. That perhaps the places we didn't choose are the very places where we've been chosen to stand, for such a time as this. Her voice broke the silence, her faith shifted the future, and her story continues to speak to every person who's ever wondered if they matter, if their moment will come, if one life can truly make a difference. Esther's life says, yes, yes, you are called. Yes, you are placed. Yes, he gives the strength to rise.